Hello, and welcome to Everything Weapons channel. Today, we're back with part 2 of the iconic weapons of World War II. Let's dive in. Germany's simplest anti-tank answer was the Panzerfaust, literally armored fist, and yeah, it lived up to the name. Unlike the reusable bazooka, the Panzerfaust was basically a one-shot, one tube, one problem solved. Aim, fire, toss it. Cheap, compact, and so easy, a stressed-out militia guy can still figure it out. It showed up in 1943 and evolved fast, with versions tied to their rough effective ranges, 30, 60, then 100 meters. Germany cranked these out in insane numbers late war. Estimates run into the millions. Up close, it was nasty. The shape charge could punch through serious armor for the era, often quoted around up to 200 millimeters depending on model and angle. Cities like Berlin turned into Panzerfaust country. Myth check. It was totally safe to carry. Not really. It was simple, but it still had a warhead and a fuse, treated like a friendly landmine with a handle. If the Panzerfaust was the disposable punch, Panzerschreck was the reusable I want another shot option. Germany captured bazookas, copied the idea, then upsized it into the Raketenpanzerbuchse 54. Same concept, bigger rocket, more smoke, more drama. The signature look is that front shield plate. That wasn't for style. Early use made it painfully clear that the backblast and exhaust could ruin your day and your face. So, Germany added a metal shield with a little viewing window and called it safety. Issued from mid-1943, it went into dedicated anti-tank teams, not everybody. Effective range was roughly 150 meters-ish, give or take. Penetration figures get quoted around 160 and 200 millimeters depending on warhead and conditions. The trade-off was the size and stealth. It was bulky, smoky, and basically screamed, "Hello, I'm here!" Fun detail, Panzerschreck wasn't just a nickname. It was the official name. Germany literally filed paperwork for tank terror. The PPSH-41 is Soviet energy in gun form. Papasha is the affectionate nickname. Basically, Dad. It's got the look, stamped steel body, wood stock, and that famous drum that makes it look like it eats ammunition for breakfast. It fired 7.62 by 25 Tokarev at a blistering rate, often quoted around 900 to 1,000 RPM. The Soviet mass-produced it in huge numbers, roughly in the millions, because their philosophy was simple. If it's easy to build a mountain of it. That's how you get a whole units stacked with SMGs and why close-range fights like Stalingrad turned into pure chaos. The Germans loved capturing them too. Some were used as if ammo could be found. Others were converted to 9mm. Captured PPSHs became finders keepers upgrade in the field. Myth check. Drums always jammed. The drum could be finicky, especially if you swapped drums between guns, but it wasn't automatically a jam machine. Also, later on, box mags became more common to simplify life. Bonus weirdness. The Soviets once experimented with mounting a ridiculous number of PPSHs on an aircraft for strafing. It was real. It was also not the future. While PPSHs handled the knife fight distances, the Mosin-Nagant handled the long stare. The M1891 30 was the Red Army's bolt action backbone, firing 7.62 by 54R, a cartridge with serious history and serious punch. It was old school, that was the point. Tough, simple, and easy to mass produce. The Soviets made an enormous number during World War II, commonly cited in the high teens to around 20 million range for Mosin variants. If you weren't holding a PPSH, odds were you were holding a Mosin. Sniper fame is baked in. PU scoped Mosins became iconic, and Vasily Zaitsev is often credited with 225 confirmed kills at Stalingrad. Whether you treat that number as exact or legendary, the psychological effect was real. Fun fact, many soldiers kept the bayonet on, partly doctrine, partly practicality. Also, the rifles were often zeroed with the bayonet attached, so removing it could shift point of impact slightly. The DP-28 looks like a machine gun that got bored and became a DJ. That top-mounted 47-round Pan magazine is the whole vibe, hence nicknames like record player. It fired the same 7.62 by 54R as the Mosin and ran around the mid-500 RPM range. Not insane speed, just steady, dependable pressure. In Soviet squads, this was the practical suppressive fire tool, lighter and more mobile than a big, heavy gun, and built to survive misery. Mud, snow, cold. The DP didn't care much. Even enemies who fought the Soviets, like Finnish troops, were known to respect it enough to use captured ones. The trade-off was the Panmax. It was big, awkward, and you needed several to stay in the fight. Also, there's a known weak point people joke about. The return spring sits where heat can be an issue in extreme sustained fire. In real combat, it wasn't constantly exploding into pieces, but the joke stuck. Myth check. It's obsolete junk. The DP's whole point was reliability and simplicity. In the Soviet system, that's not a bug. That's doctrine. The Lee-Enfield is why people say British bolt actions don't feel like bolt actions. 10-round magazine, fast cycling action, and a training culture that treated rapid, accurate fire like a sport. The No. 4 Mark I became the World War II workhorse for Britain and Commonwealth forces. Better sights, wartime-friendly production, and it kept the Enfield tradition alive. The legendary Minute drill is real, and it's basically the origin story of why do those rifle shots sound like a machine gun. In expert hands, the Enfield could put out a shocking amount of aimed fire for a bolt gun. Sniper angle. The No. 4 T-Sniper version was a serious performer with its scope setup, and it stayed relevant well past World War II. The Sten is what happens when a country says, "We need guns yesterday." After Dunkirk, Britain needed something cheap, fast, and mass-producible. The Sten delivered. It's basically a tube, a bolt, a spring, and a side-mounted magazine firing 9mm. No elegance, maximum function. Millions were produced, and the Sten became the signature weapon of resistance groups because it was light, concealable, and it could be made in workshops that normally fix bicycles. That's not a metaphor. People literally built these in occupied Europe. The downside is also famous. Stens could be picky about magazines and could be unsafe if abused. It earned a love-hate reputation that never really went away. Wild historical footnote. During the Heydrich assassination operation in 1942, the Sten used in the attack reportedly jammed. The mission still succeeded, but the Sten did the most Sten thing possible at the worst possible moment. If the Sten is chaos, the Bren is craftsmanship with the bipod. Based on the Czech ZB design, built for British service, and named from Brno and Enfield. It fed from a top-mounted curved magazine and fired 303. It wasn't about spraying the universe, it was about controlled, accurate fire. British squads revolved around the Bren. The Bren gunner was basically the squad's heartbeat. The Mark II simplified production for wartime, but the core reputation stayed the same. Reliable, accurate, and beloved. Quick correction to the common numbers confusion. Bren production wasn't tiny. Across Britain and Commonwealth production, you're looking at hundreds of thousands made, not a few tens of thousands. This thing was everywhere it needed to be. Fun anecdote, some people joked the Bren was too accurate for certain roles because it grouped so tight you had to consciously sweep if you wanted area coverage. It's a weird complaint, but it's the kind you only make about a gun you trust. The PIAT is Britain staring at physics and saying, "We can make this weirder." It's a spigot mortar anti-tank weapon, not a rocket launcher. No backblast flame like a bazooka, which meant you could fire it from buildings and tight cover without roasting your friends behind you. That was the whole point. It entered service in 1942 to replace the Boy's anti-tank rifle, and it worked best up close. Under 100 meters was the comfort zone, because the projectile was slow compared to rockets. Penetration is often sighted around about 100 millimeters. Depending on conditions, enough to be dangerous to plenty of German armor if you hit the right spot. The trade-off was pure suffering. Cocking it was famously difficult. Think this weapon doubles as a gym membership. The nice part is that if it fired properly, the recoil could help reset mechanisms for follow-up shots. To close it out, Imperial Japan's later war workhorse rifle, the Arisaka Type 99. Type 99 refers to the Japanese imperial calendar year 2599, which maps to 1939. It fired 7.7 by 58 millimeters, a step up from the earlier 6.5 millimeters Type 38, because Japan wanted more punch. The Type 99 has a reputation for a very strong bolt action. Many examples also had chrome-lined bores, which helped with corrosion resistance in nasty climates, though late-war last-ditch production got rough as materials and time ran out. That's why you see a quality split. Early rifles can be surprisingly well made, while late rifles can look like they were finished with a rock. The action strength is still the headline. Collector lore gets spicy here. Gunsmith P.O. Ackley famously tested captured rifles post-war, including Arisaka's, and reported they held up extremely well under abuse compared to expectations. Take the exact test details with lab condition and specific samples caution, but the overall point stands. The Type 99 was not some flimsy joke rifle. And that's the lineup. 20 weapons, 20 personalities, and about 20 million common arguments waiting to happen. If you want the next video to be a World War I weapons edition, drop a comment and tell me which gun you want on the list. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.